All right. So can you tell us about your business and what exactly you do?
Okay, my business is it's called O'Connor Cell Phone Forensics, and because named after me, I couldn't think of another name, but myself and my son are the principals in this business. And what I do is I analyze cell phone records, specifically the ones that we call provider side cell phone records, where each person makes a cell phone call. The cell phone company records which tower and which antenna the cell phone call was placed on, and the time the call was placed to the second, and the time when the call ended, and what tower and antenna the call ended on. From those records you can find the vicinity where the person was, and then if you have a series of calls that as the person changes vicinity from tower to a tower and antenna to antenna, you can determine their direction of travel, you can determine their approximate speed of travel. And this information has been used in criminal cases to support the prosecution's theories as to what the defendant did, and to disaffirm any alibis the defendant may have risen in their case. And that's basically what I do. I also do this in some civil cases, but the majority of my cases, about 80% of them, have been criminal.
So how did you get started in this business?
Well, oddly enough, the lesson learned in that was to show respect to the staff where I work. I teach for Purdue University, and I treat the secretaries with respect and courtesy. And what I did was I was just one day talking with one of the secretaries, telling her about antennas that I had built at home and tested. And there was some large antenna project that I made, and how I had a guy from the cell phone company, who's one of our graduates, come out with a vector network analyzer and analyze my antenna for me, and had told her that story. So one day the Washington County prosecutor in Indiana called and said, we need a cell phone expert. And they called Purdue University because they knew that Purdue was known for engineering and technology. The first person they got on the phone was my secretary, and she's a secretary for everyone at our location. But she said, oh, you need cell phone antennas. If it has anything to do with antennas, that would be Terry O'Connor, because I just talked to her about antennas, and she was willing to recommend me because, well, one of the things I think was important is I always showed her respect and courtesy. And so because of the secretary, the call from the prosecutor's office was forwarded to me, didn't come through anybody else. And so when I came back to school after the summer, the week before classes, there was a message on my office machine, and the man said, and gave me his name and said he's the deputy prosecutor, and he wanted to talk to me about serving as an expert witness in cell phone forensics in an upcoming murder trial. And for a moment I thought, that's a joke, right? I mean, it can't be serious. And I played it over again, and I listened to his voice. I thought, he's not kidding, whoever he is. It just, seemed so strange. And so I called him back and went to visit with them and found out what they wanted, and I said, yes, I can do that. It's just the analysis of towers and their behavior, and with UHF signals, and I knew how to do that. It wasn't technologically hard to understand the towers and the antennas, and I felt I was capable of doing that. And so really, I know a lot of people have pursued their businesses, but I didn't. It started by coming to me.
All right. Well, how did you end up building up rapport in the area to where prosecutors trusted you enough to hire you?
Well, in the first case, really I realized the important thing was to do a really good job, and I just thought, based on my engineering and technology background, I knew what needed to be investigated, and just to be thorough about everything I did. And the other thing is that when I was asked to do some things, they asked me some particular, and I was agreeable to perform any kind of test that they asked me to do. And apparently there are a lot of expert witnesses that aren't agreeable. And they told me that, they said, we're really glad to see someone get into this business, especially someone who's as easy to get along with as you are.
Okay. So, what sets you apart from your competitors?
The biggest thing that sets me apart from my competitors is that in terms of cell phone forensics, the majority of them are involved. I mean, over 90%, way over 90% of them. They download data from cell phones digitally. They have nothing to do with the call detail records and analysis of where the person was based on the tower's antennas. I've been told by a defense attorney in Las Vegas that there are only 3 other people in the country that she could find that did this business. So what sets me apart from, when I say competitors, most other forensic, cell phone forensic people don't do this at all. They download data from cell phones, like text messages that someone thought they deleted, pictures, etc., and calls received and that kind of thing. It's just that the vast majority of them don't analyze the call detail records and the towers and antennas. And as far as like the 3 other people in the country that are my competitors, there's so few that I don't have to be concerned with losing any business to them. It's just spread over very few people.
Mm-hmm.